David Toombs is known for his takes, and whether you love or hate them, they are Let's go through the points David raises in this video and debunk feel good or real good. First of all, terrible title, David. Don't play UVS like a casual is awful. How to become more competitive would be better, but you don't insult players. Sometimes people want to play casually, and if you shouldn't be always playing the sweatiest, most competitive deck at the kitchen table with your friends, at locals, especially at a Star Scramble. You should be having fun. You should be playing cards that feel good and that are fun to play. Not everyone needs to win every event they go to. Not everyone feels the need to go to win every event they go to. Sometimes it's just fun to play a good deck that you think that you've been working on, that is your little pet deck. And a perfect example of this is Andrew Porat, who won the Albuquerque Regionals, but was not part of the takedown Nick Reagan militia, but was playing a pet deck that he loves, and by its own right was playing some feels good cards over real good cards. But we'll come back to that a little bit, and I may keep diving back to Andrew because of how his deck kind of went down. The first three examples that we get from David are Nice Try, World's Weakest Hunter, and Keiko's Aid. And to be fair, from a aggressive play like David, yeah, these are terrible cards. Funny being that Nice Try is a Mirio card, and David is kind of famous for playing Mirio. But I get where David's coming from. These are situational cards, which is something he comes on a little bit later on down the line. But just like with the Infinity Rant, I think David is approaching this from the lines of a competitive player, not a hyper aggressive player either, not a control player or mid-range player, as a aggressive player who is foregoing control aspects outside of I have breaker, and that kind of sucks. But if that's the kind of player David is, and that's where he wants to take his content, perfect, go for it. But Nice Try is a good card for mid-range and control players who can throw their attacks and then know that those resources are going to come back to them later on. It allows you to take riskier plays. It allows you to build deeper earlier if you can get a Nice Try down early, as well as the fact that it has that defensive aspect of -2 speed. World's Weakest Hunter is an absolute beast of a card. You've seen it played consistently Nick Reagan and Rodan, and any character that has the all symbol that consistently removes cards will most likely be running World's Weakest Hunter, because as long as it hits, which at 5 speed 3 damage, you're putting your opponent in a position where blocking feels bad, but you get to draw 3 cards. And that is something I'm going to come across more into when we get to the situational aspect of it, because sometimes it's not about getting your opponent to dealing your opponent damage, it's about putting your opponent in a worse position. Keiko's Aid is just any attack has breaker, but you can't get around this breaker with things like repeated 100% smash or other ways to cancel the checks. This is a plus to the difficulty, so you can't play around this like you can breaker, because it's always on the next attack, which means you end the attack line on a turn where you're dying. This is solid. This is why when we look at Chelmsford and we look at Mike Hardeman's Ymir, he's running 4 of them for the defensive aspect of Ymir. It's a good solid defensive piece that allows you to go, if you want to keep attacking me, go for it, but I recommend you build because I'm coming back at you swinging. And sometimes that is all you need. You can mitigate damage. It's about playing the card playing these abilities at the right time. It is not just about spamming it straight away. It's not like, oh, I bought the first attack, cool, I'm going to flip Keiko's Aid. And you go, cool. It is about going, stop hitting. After that, we move into David's talk about feels good versus feels feels good to paper over feels bad aspects of Universus. Talking about the aspects of loss aversion, some of the things that we go into when we're saying why we lost, our opponents check best than us, we didn't draw attacks, reasons to give ourselves, and the cards we put in to kind of paper over this. And I'm sorry, if I see a hole in my deck that says I need to draw more, then yeah, why would I not put that in that? David talks about being given the options and people always going for the chance that is less likely to hurt them. That is such a bad take. Going, oh, you have a 50% chance of losing $600 more. Yeah, but you also have a 50% chance of losing nothing. But the difference is this: in our game, it is not just about the chance, not about the option. You get to mitigate. That's what the cards are there for. Luck is an aspect in every single. You cannot 100% anything in this game without building your deck to counteract that. David talks about the fact that 600 shouldn't be running City Rampage. Yes, they should. It's designed for a 600. It is, and with the amount of draw that exists on the symbols of City Rampage, 100% it should be. Especially with Truant allowing it to put a factor in more. It's just absolutely insane. Life of Danger. Life of Danger is such a weird one for David to bring up. Like, oh yeah, you wouldn't be running it unless you're running 15 2-checks. Yeah, that's what the card's for. It's designed for people that have too many 2-checks. If I'm running 4 Rando Spirit Guns, chances are I'm not going to be running 4 Life of Dangers, because of the odds of me checking it are around the same as the odds of me drawing a Life of Danger. It's not worth putting in. But if I'm running 10, 12, 15 2-checks, yeah, I want to mitigate that. It's what the whole point of the card. And you even say in the video, if you're running that many, you should be running Life of Danger. So you put it down as a feels good card, but it's a real good card for the situation it's put into. Unfazed did see play in Oceania, and it hasn't seen as much play because there's just better options for it. Critical Role brought in better options. Attack and Tide Apocalypse brought in better options. By the time we got to the next event, but Unfazed was still seeing play in some decks at Worlds. I'm not going to harp on too much because I don't want this to be as long as David's video going over it. Feels good cards that work in your mind more than they work in games. If you are playing at locals, if you're playing to have fun, remember this is a game. We want to play to have fun, and even if you're playing at a regional level, why would you not play cards that make you feel good? In the end, this is a game. We're here to have fun. So why not play cards that let you have fun, that let you pop off a little bit? Some of those cards that are feel-good cards can be the difference between winning or losing a game. A card that doesn't quite work all the time, but will work a lot of the time. For example, let's go back to Andrew Porat and his Ghidorah deck, running Gigantification Swing. That -2 to the check is always going to be very powerful. But you're looking at another ability the enhance that was never used. That's just a feels good card. It's a card that goes, cool, unless you can pump the damage of this up to ridiculous amounts, I'll happily sit here and take 5. My life is a resource. That -2 to the check is a feels good moment. It's the exact same aspect as Keiko's Aid, but it was in the deck and it won him games. Another thing that won games, another thing that was going around Albuquerque like a plague, and I heard so many people complaining about it, Chronostasis Trigger. Chronostasis Trigger is the definition of a feels good card when the abilities work more in your mind than they do during the game, because you get to change the zone. Cool, but with open deck lists, we know you're running Chronostasis Trigger. We're going to hold those zones, and you get to seal a character on damage. Another situational card which David would say do not play because it's situational. You need to deal damage, same with World's Weakest Hunter. However, Andrew Porat is credited in my interview as saying he only beat me because of Chronostasis Trigger, because I played a backup. And that is on there. And that is something that was going around a lot, predicting that the situation is going to come up enough that it's going to work more is a key factor. Backups are more popular, so on damage effects are more easy to trigger. So putting them down as a feels good is wrong. Being able to steal my character and abuse their backups is very powerful. Against anybody else who isn't running backups, it's a feels good card. It may hit, it may not hit, but the situations where it does, that slim chance that it will work during a game can be the tipping point of you getting that game. So yeah, my counteraction to a feels good card that has abilities that work off the monument, yeah, and the times that they work, the times where it all comes together, not to the like one-off magical Christmas land cards, but the cards where you got I predict this outcome, being able to go I understood what the meta was going to be, what was coming in, and how to handle it is perfect. And unless you have that feels good ability to look at the cards and go, this is how they're going to play it in a game, yeah, should I say your entire deck, it's not like Andrew built his entire deck around Chronostasis Trigger, but he understood the few times, the slim times that that was going to hit and seal their opponent's characters, it was going to lead to him winning. And that is absolutely beautiful. Moving into like the middle of the video, we have the 5 points that David brings up that make a card a feel-good card as opposed to a real good card. They're conditional, they put the rival in control, they put the fate in, you put fate in control, they detach from reality, or doesn't change it. So link it, putting things like unrealistic optimism, or citing things such as strange energies, vile seizing, Punisher Beam, Call of Titan, Father's Sin, even going as far as to put things like Aerial Kakashi in there, which has not even been out yet, but he's talking about the fact that he immediately cuts it. I'm sorry, everyone knows being able to attack in your opponent's turn is very powerful, and we haven't seen how good this can go down. Taking cards like Lust for Battle on face value and going, oh yeah, you don't get to choose when it's going to pop off. Yes, you do. You put in there that conditional cards such as Dangerous Combatant, Earthbreaker, as I just talked about Chronostasis Trigger, these abilities that trigger on damage, that have a condition to get them through. The reason they have that condition, the reason they just go, oh, just draw a card, is because it puts your opponent in that position. You're putting pressure on your opponent in their turn. Similar with Aerial Kakashi and Rising Uppercut. You're putting pressure on your opponent in their turn to go, I can't play a high block. Why? Because that raising uppercut is an issue. Now that I know it's being played, my highs are liabilities. Exact same reason Vile Season and Showdown are in there. They're conditional, but the moment they're in there, your opponent has to be aware of them. Dangerous Combatant, I can't afford to overcommit, because if I do, I'm giving my opponent draw. Earthbreaker, I cannot afford to let this hit. Harness on Death is a perfect example of a conditional card that just says get wrecked. And the fact it isn't in here says to me you have underestimated the power of conditional abilities. If you get hit by a Harness on Death in the current meta state, you're dead. Simple as. Falling Titans has a condition that says you need to sacrifice a backup to bring it back up. It's not a feels good card, that's a real good card because of the way you can build around it. Dangerous Combatant going into a Toga free deck, into a stun deck, into a freeze deck is going to be very powerful. Why? Because it isn't demanding anything more of your strategy, and it's putting your opponent in a position of, do I want to go over this line and let you draw? And that is where these conditions come in. You're taxing your opponent's mental load. You're saying to your opponent, you know I have this. Same with Keiko's Aid. You know I have this. Do you want to push? Do you want to play this game with these interactions in mind? And can you brute force your way through what I have? A lot of this stuff is around control players and manipulation players and people that are looking at pushing their opponents into corners and making them play your game. What you're looking at here is from the aspect of always being in control of the game. You cannot always be in control of the game. Putting pressure on your opponent outside of just punching them in the face repeatedly is a great one. Latent Skill. Saying Latent Skill is a bad card or a feels good card is insane to me. Because yes, although Lightning Skill hasn't popped up in many competitor decks, Zane played it in Oceania, but it wasn't one of the top decks. Justifying it by going, you're not going up in hand size is crazy to me. Because at the same time, you see everyone is playing Botans. Botans has the exact same winning, apart from it's not a cost. So unless you can get your hand size down to 0, you're not drawing an additional card. You are just filtering a card, same as Lightning Skill, but it's played a lot. Same with Horrifying Realization. You're discarding a card to pick up another one. And unless you put your hand size down to 0, you're not going up a hand size. But what if you do put your hand size down to 0 and use it, then you factor into the other aspect that David says makes a card feel bad. You're putting Fate in control. You're putting Fate into what is the top card of your deck. So either way, through the transitive property, what David's saying here, Horrifying Realization is a feel-good card. Botan's Coaching is a feel-good card. These abilities that just let you loot your hand, it's a feel-good card, regardless of the fact that he put up a combo on there that you can use Lightning Skills and Lust for Battle together to counteract the feels-good aspect. Individually picking cards out and going, these are bad cards because they rely on fate and rely on aspects, is not good. You're taking an individual piece of a machine and saying this is wrong when it fits into the deck that's going down. Dangerous Combatant inside, say, a Devil Jin is a feels good card. It's something that you're putting in there as a wins more. In Toga 3, it is a good card. It is a real good card. Aerial Kakashi and Rising Uppercut in Paul Phoenix are very good cards because you're utilizing other abilities. You're getting that stun 2, you're getting that damage increase, which is once per turn in your opponent's turn. It is not just about the card, it is about the way the card works in the deck overall. Exact same thing with the Chronostasis trigger. Outside of Ghidorah and outside of the cards that we're playing it into backups, it's a feels good card. It's not about you're taking individual pieces and criticizing them as part of the whole. I want to take a look at the bans and erratas that have come down and talk about how they are feel good cards. Let's talk about some rotated cards. Twisting Azure Inferno requires you to have 3 damage on it and allows your opponent time to interact with it. It's a conditional card, therefore it is a feels good card. Despite the fact that people were demanding get banned for over a year, apparently it's a feels good card. Vertical maneuvering equipment requires me to have momentum, and that's a trash card. That is a real feels good card. It only works if I have momentum, so yeah, let's unban it. Immortal Shapeshifter requires me to make checks. That is putting fate in control of whether I get to gain health, and I'm going down resources to get my damage. Absolute feels good, no way real good, so let's get it unbanned. Combined Firepower. 1, Combined Firepower has to be my discard. 2, requires me to remove a card in order to even play it from the discard, or I can play it from my hand, but then I'm playing the hand side. No 6-hand character should be playing Combined Firepower. And then I'm milling 4 to get my damage. Yeah, I'm putting fate in control. So as David put in his video, this is a feels good card, not a real good card. Therefore, nobody should be playing it. And I know this is ironic because I've been coming on to Andrew Porat, who was legitimately not running this in Albuquerque, but it was still a good piece of the casino cards. It helped people win a lot of games because the decks could utilize these abilities. We've got one in here where David has been talking about you don't want to put fate in control, and yet his entire goal for Albuquerque was to take down Nick Reagan, one of the biggest characters that says I'm going to put fate in control as to what my attack does. The fact people were demanding it get touched is overpowered, but fate's in control, right? That's a feels good character because my attacks will only get powerful if I hit something. So that no one should play Nick Reagan. It's just a feels good card, right? No, because you can mitigate this. You can paper over the feels bad by utilizing your ratios, your build, your attack, the way that you're putting in there. Like Nick Reagan can then use Final Smash to guarantee he gets past. Oh, yeah, that must be a feels bad. That must be a feels bad card. That must be a feels bad card. Why? Because why you can guarantee your next check. Cool. Does it help you kill your opponent? Well, that's not what it's about. This entire video is just terrible taste. So if you want to play casual, if you want to have fun playing the game, go for it. If you want to build better, then honestly, look for other resources. This is a terrible video for anyone looking to become a more competitive player. I have literally seen people just saying that David's throwing his weight around as a content creator, trying to get people to stop playing cards he's worried about. It reeks of do not play these cards against me kind of aspect, when there are very good cards in there, and there are very good niche cards in there which will come up in very good spots. This video has gone on a lot longer than I wanted to. It's going to be an absolute pain to edit and get out quickly, but overall, please just play the way you want to play. If you want to play a feels good card, if you want to play a card where you hit that button and you feel like $1,000,000 because you've done something you wanted to do, if you want to play a 1 in 1,000 combination play, go for it. You're here to have fun. Only one person can walk away with that win. Only 16 people can walk away with those top spots. And so if you're going to Louisville, do not do what this video is telling you to do, because all you're going to do is stress yourself out and make your love of this game go down. Play what gives you fun. If pushing all the right buttons and playing in the most hyper competitive way is what gives you fun, is what makes you relax, go for it. Follow this video to a T and miss out on some of the best interactions that you can get, because Universus is a game of interactions. But if you want to have fun, if you want to play this game your way, go for it. I'm a person who made my mark on this game playing feels good cards in a feel good character, and I dominated that character for about a year. I walked into the first Worlds Swiss event with Dabby 1 and nobody took me seriously apart from the fact, and people did not take it seriously, and I walked out of that Swiss with 1 loss. Yes, and I immediately lost the first round in A2, but I am a prime example of take your feels good characters and utilize the better aspects of this game for getting better, rather than going, my deck needs to change. I am more scared of a rogue player with 100 games on their deck than a person playing hyper competitive copy and paste decks that have not got many games on them. That is just a fact of this game. The interactions are unique. The way that our decks, the way that we draw, the way that the decks are built makes them hyper efficient. So do not worry about situationalness. Do not worry about how your deck is going to play, especially if you're a new player, especially if it's your first event. Have fun. It's a game overall. Have fun. If you're not having fun, drop. Go play side events. Have fun. Explore the social aspect of it. Only one person can win, so we do not want the other 180 odd feeling bad about the way that, feeling bad because they didn't win. We want you to feel good in every game. We want you to be if you're playing a game, it should feel like you're having fun. It should feel like you're playing the game, and it should feel like you're doing what you want to do. This is not a guide to not playing like a casual. This is a guide to establishing a way to play the game that is mentally taxing, that is going to result in result-oriented thinking, and will breed competitive players, don't get me wrong, but will also breed an aspect of toxicity. The more you go, I'm only playing really good cards, how am I losing to someone who's playing feels good cards? That is a spark of toxicity we don't need. We should not be judging people saying you're playing feels good cards. You should be playing this. You should be playing that. I'm sure they have a reason for it, and we should not be taking one aspect of the machine and going, your deck's trash because of this one card. Let people play what they want to play. Let people have fun playing what they want to play, and let the community just have fun. It's a game after all. Stop calling people casuals. Stop trying to make everything hyper competitive, and just let people have fun. I'm gonna leave it there. I tried to be more positive than negative, but let me know, how did you think about David's video? I will put the card up when I talk about it at the beginning. Are there any... Is this a topic people are interested in? I have been meaning to make a video about how to get better as a Universus player and go from being a locals player to a topping regionals player, but I didn't know if that was something that people wanted, and if my opinions would even be welcomed. But if it is something you'd like to hear, if it from me, let me know in the comments below, and it will be something that I make in the future. I will catch you all at game night, and remember, it's a game. Have fun, and if a card makes you feel good when you play it, then play it, because you want to walk away from a regionals with good memories and good vibes, and not walk away from regionals going, I should have won that, but I didn't. I should have won that. I was playing all the best cards. Why didn't I win? Because in that direction, danger lies. I'll catch you next time. Peace.